Well, viewer questions keep the 208 going, as you know. It's also one of our favorite things. You know, raindrops on roses, whiskers on kittens. Viewers that come to the table with questions, or cream-colored ponies, Chris apple sprudels. Viewers with questions to strengthen our noodles, that kind of thing. Anyway, Chris from Meridian posited this query last week. Can someone explain where our billion-dollar surplus went and why school districts are asking for levies, going to 4 days a week, or closing schools altogether to stay afloat? It's a multi-part question. Brown paper packages tied up with strings. Let's work backwards. School closings have to do with shrinking student body. As for the 4-day school weeks, well, about 40% of Idaho school districts have moved to 4 instead of 5 schedule. And that shift, according to the Idaho School Boards Association, has to do with the ability to attract and retain teachers. But all of them at the core are also about saving money. Okay, so what about that billion-dollar surplus Chris asked about? Well, we did have that surplus, or close to that, for several years in a row, thanks in large part to an influx of federal COVID cash. Fiscal year 2021 ended with $890 million surplus. In 2022, Idaho had a $1.4 billion surplus. And by the end of June of 2023, we had a $99.1 million surplus. Thanks to the revenues coming in $80 million more than expected, and state agencies spending $19 million less. So what happened to it? Well, in 2022, the $1.4 billion in the bank, the legislature passed an income and corporate tax cut to the tune of $600 million. Then later that summer, in a special session, lawmakers passed $1 billion more in tax cuts and increased school funding. Remember those $300 and $600 rebate checks we got in 2022? That was part of that. Well, that bill also dropped our income tax rate from 6% to a flat rate of 5.8%, and it also helped start Idaho Launch, $80 million toward the governor's grant program that helps pay for trade school education. So then last year, with that $99.1 million surplus, that went to property tax relief. Basically, Idaho is going to give money to the schools so property owners would pay less in taxes that pay for those schools. $50 million directly to property tax relief. The rest of it was going to be split between school districts and counties to pay for existing levies that are on the books. So there it went, all spent. But if they all got this money, why are some schools still running a levy this month in the May election? To get that answer, we asked the Cuna School District why they are hoping taxpayers agree to a $5.3 million levy. And they told us the money they got from the state last year, just $2.1 million. And that went to pay off some of the $40 million levy they passed in 2017. So it wasn't a lot of money, and it went toward debt they already had. So they still need more. Why? Well, we were told 2 reasons. One, half the levy will pay for staff because school funding now has been returned to attendance-based rather than enrollment, meaning if you have 100 kids in school and on average 5 kids a day miss for sickness or whatever, well, schools are going to miss out on that 5% of what they would get if it was based on kids enrolls, not just those who didn't show up. And the second reason,
the second part of that levy is for what we're calling as basically emergency jobs. I have 2 roofs that are past their lifespan.
Okay.
We can patch them, but they both need to be replaced. I have 4 schools that need updated fire panels. I need 3 school buses, and then I have 3 schools that need major HVAC remedies or renovations or updates.
and so that emergency, some of those emergency jobs, they fall into the facilities category, which can cover that, but some don't. Remember, Cuna tried to pass a bond last year for maintenance and repair projects, and it failed. And had that passed, Brian Graves told us they wouldn't be having one this go-round. Also, with the governor's pledge of $2 billion over the next 10 years for school facilities, Cuna's cut would be about $20 million over the next decade. And that isn't quite enough to pay for a new elementary school, about $2 million a year. And these days, an elementary school is going for about $28 million. It's not even enough to pay for all the district's maintenance needs, they tell us. Some, but that's okay. And so they're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth when they give you this $2 million. But that brings us to why Cuna is asking for a voter-approved levy.
I probably have $100 million of projects, building updates that I need to do in Cuna School District on our 11 school sites and buildings.
Bottom line is school districts run bonds and levies because they don't get enough money from the state to function on a daily, yearly basis.
I would agree with that 100%.
Like how much of a shortfall are we talking about?
I would say that our levy, what we're asking for is probably 10 to 15% of our budget, maybe closer to 20%.
So you're saying the state gives you about 80% of the budget you need?
Correct. To do what Cuna says that Cuna needs for Cuna's parents and children, yes.
They all get together at these meetings to say, we want to do this program, we want to do this program, and they go, cool, now we got to pay for it.
Correct. Yeah, we want school nurses. We want school resource officers. We want gifted and talented above and beyond what you can do in the classroom.
And the state won't pay for that.
The state tells us that we can decide how to do that, but we say that's not in the budget that they give us. No.
Remember, bonds are for buildings, levies are for learning, as they tell us, and maintenance, apparently. So if the parents want these programs, the gate or any of the other things, even a school resource officer in the school, well, then Cuna needs to help pay for them with a levy. And that election coming up in just 2 weeks.